Welcome back, everyone. This is Level 2 Part 2 of my new Unsolved Mysteries Iceberg series, where we will cover almost everything from alien civilizations to government mysteries. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this series, and of course, thank you for watching. Doodler. The Doodler, also known as the Black Doodler, is the name given to an unidentified serial killer responsible for a series of brutal murders in San Francisco during the mid-1970s. The nickname Doodler originates from the killer's habit of sketching his victims before attacking them. This eerie and unique detail has cemented the Doodler's place in the annals of unsolved criminal cases, adding an extra layer of mystery to these chilling crimes. Between January 1974 and September 1975, the Doodler is believed to have killed at least 5 men and attacked several others. The confirmed victims were all found in various locations around San Francisco, often near popular gay nightclubs and bars, which led investigators to theorize that the Doodler targeted gay men. Each of the victims was brutally stabbed to death, and their bodies were often left in public places where they would be quickly discovered. The Doodler's first known victim was found on January 27, 1974. The body of a man, later identified as 50-year-old Gerald Kavanaugh, was discovered on Ocean Beach. He had been stabbed multiple times. Just a few months later, on June 24, 1974, the body of 27-year-old Joseph Stevens, a popular drag performer, was found in Golden Gate Park. The pattern of brutal stabbings continued, with 31-year-old Klaus Chrisman found in Lincoln Park on July 7, 1974. His death was particularly gruesome, with multiple stab wounds and a slashed throat. These murders caused widespread fear within San Francisco's gay community. The killer's method of approaching his victims, reportedly drawing their portraits in bars before luring them to secluded areas, only added to the anxiety. Witnesses and survivors described the Doodler as an African-American man in his mid-20s, often seen carrying a sketch pad. The police managed to interview several men who had survived attacks by the Doodler. However, despite their testimonies, fear of being outed in a time of widespread discrimination against the LGBTQ+ community hindered the investigation. The survivors were reluctant to testify in court, which significantly impeded the progress of the case. In a significant break, police identified a suspect in 1976. This man matched descriptions provided by survivors and was linked to the locations of the attacks. Despite this, there was insufficient evidence to charge him, largely due to the survivors' unwillingness to come forward publicly. The suspect was reportedly questioned multiple times, but was never formally charged, and his name has not been publicly disclosed. Over the years, the Doodler case has remained a haunting mystery, occasionally resurfacing in the media and within true crime discussions. In 2018, the San Francisco Police Department renewed efforts to solve the case, leveraging advancements in DNA technology and appealing to the public for any new information. Despite these efforts, the Doodler's identity remains unknown, and the case continues to be an open investigation. The story of the Doodler highlights the complex interplay between crime, societal attitudes, and the challenges faced by law enforcement in solving cases involving marginalized communities. It stands as a poignant reminder of the unsolved mysteries that continue to haunt history, waiting for the moment when new evidence or a brave witness might finally bring closure to the families and communities affected. DC Rapist. The DC Rapist, also known as the Potomac River Rapist, is a serial criminal who terrorized the Washington, D.C. area in the early 1990s. Known for his violent sexual assaults and a particularly brutal murder, the case of the DC Rapist remained unsolved for decades, causing fear and anxiety in the community. The DC Rapist's crime spree began in May 1991 and continued until November 1998. Over this period, he committed at least 10 rapes and 1 murder. His modus operandi involved breaking into homes late at night or in the early hours of the morning, typically targeting women who were alone. He would often cut phone lines and disable security systems to avoid detection. Once inside, he would bind, blindfold, and assault his victims, instilling fear and trauma that lasted long after his physical presence had gone. One of the most horrific crimes attributed to the DC rapist was the murder of 29-year-old Christine Mirzayan. On August 1st, 1998, Christine, an intern at the National Research Council, was walking home from a cookout in the Georgetown area of Washington, D.C. when she was attacked. Her body was found the next day, brutally assaulted and left in a wooded area. This murder was a significant escalation in the DC rapists' pattern of crimes and brought intense media attention to the case. Despite extensive investigations, the DC rapist remained at large for many years. The police collected DNA evidence from the crime scenes, but without a match in their databases, the trail went cold. The lack of eyewitnesses and the careful, methodical approach of the perpetrator made it difficult for law enforcement to make any significant breakthroughs. In 2009, the case received renewed attention when the FBI's Cold Case Initiative took another look at the evidence. Advances in DNA technology provided a glimmer of hope that the DC rapist might finally be identified. Investigators re-examined the DNA samples collected from the various crime scenes and began comparing them against newer databases and suspect profiles. The breakthrough finally came in November 2019. Using forensic genealogy, a technique that combines DNA analysis with genealogical research to identify suspects through their family trees, investigators were able to link the DNA evidence from the crime scenes to Giles Daniel Warwick, a man who had lived in the Washington, D.C. area during the time of the attacks. Warwick had since relocated to South Carolina. Warwick was arrested on November 13th, 2019, and charged with the series of rapes and the murder of Christine Mirzayan. The use of forensic genealogy in this case marked another significant success for this emerging field, demonstrating its potential to solve even the most challenging cold cases. Warwick's arrest brought a sense of relief and closure to many of the victims and their families, although the psychological scars of his crimes would remain. The case of the DC rapist highlights the importance of advances in forensic science and the persistent efforts of law enforcement to bring justice to victims, no matter how much time has passed. It also underscores the power of new technologies to crack cases that once seemed impossible to solve, offering hope that other cold cases might one day be resolved as well. Big L, born Lamont Coleman on May 30th, 1974 in Harlem, New York, was a highly influential rapper whose career was tragically cut short by his untimely death. Known for his sharp lyricism, intricate wordplay, and storytelling ability, Big L left an indelible mark on the hip-hop community despite his brief career. Big L began rapping at a young age, gaining attention in the early 1990s. He was a founding member of the hip-hop group Children of the Corn, alongside other future stars such as Cameron and Mahe. His talent quickly garnered the attention of the hip-hop underground, leading to his signing with Columbia Records. In 1995, he released his debut album, Lifestyles of the Poor and Dangerous. The album was critically acclaimed, showcasing his exceptional skills and earning him a reputation as one of the most promising young MCs in the game. Despite the critical success of his debut album, commercial success eluded Big L, and he parted ways with Columbia Records. Undeterred, he continued to work on his music, planning to release his second album, The Big Picture. Tragically, Big L's life and career were cut short on February 15th, 1999, when he was shot and killed in Harlem. He was just 24 years old, but the murder remains unsolved, though there has been speculation and various theories about the motive and perpetrators. Big L's death sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. Many artists mourned the loss of a rapper they believed had the potential to become one of the greatest of all time. Despite his untimely death, Big L's influence continued to grow posthumously. In 2000, The Big Picture was released, featuring a mix of completed tracks and posthumous collaborations. The album was well received, reaching gold status and further cementing Big L's legacy in hip-hop. Big L is often celebrated for his contributions to the genre, particularly his innovative approach to rhyme schemes and his ability to paint vivid pictures with his lyrics. Tracks like Put It On, Ebonics, and Street Struck remain classics, influencing countless rappers who came after him. His storytelling abilities and raw depiction of street life resonate with fans and artists alike. The mystery surrounding Big L's murder continues to be a topic of interest and speculation. Despite various leads and theories, no one has been officially charged in connection with his death. Some believe it was a case of mistaken identity, while others think it was related to disputes within his neighborhood. The lack of resolution has only added to the tragic mystique surrounding his life and career. Big L's legacy lives on through his music and the profound impact he had on the hip-hop community. He is remembered as a pioneer whose potential was never fully realized, yet his contributions to the genre continue to be celebrated. His influence can be heard in the work of numerous artists who cite him as an inspiration. Big L's story is a poignant reminder of the talent and promise that can be lost to senseless violence, and his music remains a testament to his enduring impact on hip-hop. Lady Diana, affectionately known as Princess Diana or Lady Di, remains one of the most beloved and iconic figures of the 20th century. Born Diana Frances Spencer on July 1st, 1961, she became a global icon of grace, charity, and the human spirit after her marriage to Prince Charles, the heir apparent to the British throne. Early life and marriage. Diana was born into the British nobility and grew up close to the royal family. Her early life was marked by the separation and eventual divorce of her parents, which had a profound impact on her. She attended various schools, including the prestigious Westheath Girls' School, but did not excel academically. However, she was known for her compassion and kindness, traits that would define her later life. In 1980, Diana began dating Prince Charles, and their relationship quickly became the subject of intense media scrutiny. They were married on July 29th, 1981, in a fairy tale wedding watched by millions around the world. Diana became the Princess of Wales, and the couple had two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Life as a royal. Despite the glamorous image presented to the public, Diana's marriage to Charles was troubled. The couple faced numerous personal challenges, including infidelity, which led to a highly publicized and acrimonious divorce in 1996. Throughout her time in the royal family, Diana struggled with the pressures of royal life, including constant media attention and the rigid expectations of the monarchy. Humanitarian work. Beyond her royal duties, Diana was celebrated for her extensive humanitarian work. She used her status to bring attention to numerous causes, including AIDS awareness, homelessness, and leprosy. One of her most significant contributions was her campaign against landmines, which culminated in her iconic walk through an active minefield in Angola in 1997. Her efforts were instrumental in the eventual signing of the Ottawa Treaty, which sought to ban the use of anti-personnel landmines. Diana's hands-on approach and willingness to engage directly with those suffering made her a beloved figure worldwide. She was often seen comforting the sick, hugging children with HIV, and advocating for marginalized groups. Her empathy and approachability broke down barriers and changed public perceptions on many issues. Death and legacy. Tragically, Diana's life was cut short in a car accident in Paris on August 31st, 1997. Her death shocked the world and led to an unprecedented outpouring of grief. Millions of people around the globe mourned her passing, and her funeral was watched by an estimated 2.5 billion people. The circumstances surrounding her death have been the subject of much speculation and numerous conspiracy theories. Official investigations concluded that the crash was caused by the driver, Henry Paul, who was intoxicated and driving at high speeds to escape paparazzi. Diana's legacy endures through her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, who continue to honour her memory through their charitable work. The impact of her humanitarian efforts is still felt today, and she is remembered for her compassion, grace, and the profound changes she brought to the British monarchy and society at large. In the years since her death, Diana has remained a cultural icon, symbolizing elegance, kindness, and the enduring power of empathy. Her life and work continue to inspire people around the world, making her one of the most enduring figures of the 20th century, Doorothy Kilgelan. Doorothy Kilgelan was an influential American journalist, television personality, and author whose mysterious death in 1965 has sparked numerous conspiracy theories and widespread speculation. Born on July 3rd, 1913, in Chicago, Illinois, Kilgelan became known for her investigative journalism and her role as a panelist on the popular television game show What's My Line? Dorothy May Kilgelan was born into a family with a journalistic background. Her father, James Kilgelan, was a well-known newspaper reporter. Dorothy attended Erasmus Hall High School and later enrolled at the College of New Rochelle, though she did not graduate. Instead, she pursued a career in journalism, starting as a reporter for the New York Evening Journal. Her early claim to fame came in 1936, when she participated in a round-the-world race against two other journalists, which she chronicled in her book, Girl Around the World. This adventure not only boosted her profile, but also showcased her tenacity and adventurous spirit. In the 1940s, Kilgelan's career soared as she became a columnist for the New York Journal-American. Her column, The Voice of Broadway, was syndicated to over 140 newspapers across the country, making her one of the most read and influential columnists of her time. She covered a wide range of topics, from Hollywood gossip and celebrity scandals to major political events and trials. Kilgelan gained further prominence as a panelist on What's My Line from 1950 until her death in 1965. The show, a popular primetime television program, showcased her sharp wit, intelligence, and charm, earning her a place in the hearts of millions of Americans. Doorothy Kilgelan was not just a gossip columnist, she was a serious investigative journalist who covered high-profile cases and controversial topics. One of her most notable investigations was into the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. Kilgelan was highly skeptical of the official Warren Commission report and pursued her own inquiry into the events surrounding the assassination. She conducted interviews, gathered confidential information, and publicly questioned the lone gunman theory, suggesting there might have been a conspiracy. Kilgelan's dedication to uncovering the truth about the JFK assassination set her apart from many of her contemporaries and added a layer of danger to her work. On November 8, 1965, Doorothy Kilgelan was found dead in her New York City townhouse. She was discovered in her bedroom, fully clothed and sitting upright in her bed. The official cause of death was listed as an overdose of alcohol and barbiturates, but the circumstances surrounding her death have fueled numerous conspiracy theories. Several factors contributed to the suspicion that Kilgelan's death might not have been accidental. She had been working on a potentially explosive story about the JFK assassination, and many believe she possessed sensitive information that could have been damaging to powerful figures. Additionally, there were inconsistencies in the investigation into her death, such as the location where she was found, and the disappearance of her notes and research materials. Doorothy Kilgelan's death remains one of the most intriguing mysteries in the world of journalism. Some theories suggest that she was silenced because of what she knew about the Kennedy assassination, while others believe her death was simply a tragic accident exacerbated by her high-pressure lifestyle. Despite the unanswered questions surrounding her death, Kilgelan's legacy as a pioneering journalist and fearless investigator endures. She paved the way for future generations of women in journalism and remains a symbol of the power of the press to challenge the status quo and seek the truth, no matter the personal risk. Doorothy Kilgelan's life and work continue to fascinate those interested in media, history, and conspiracy theories, ensuring that her story will be remembered and debated for years to come. MH370. Malaysia Airlines flight MH370, one of the most perplexing aviation mysteries in history, disappeared on March 8, 2014, during a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Despite extensive search efforts and numerous theories, the fate of the Boeing 777 and its 239 passengers and crew remains largely unknown, leaving the world with more questions than answers. Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport at 12:41 a.m. local time, under the command of Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, an experienced pilot with over 18,000 flight hours, and First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. The flight was scheduled to arrive in Beijing at 6:30 a.m. However, less than an hour into the flight, at 1:19 a.m., the aircraft's transponder was turned off, severing its communication with air traffic control. The last voice communication from the cockpit was a seemingly routine "Good night, Malaysian 370" from the co-pilot. Shortly after this final communication, MH370 deviated from its planned flight path, making a sharp turn to the west, crossing the Malay Peninsula and heading towards the Andaman Sea. Military radar tracked the plane for about an hour after it disappeared from civilian radar, but this data was not immediately shared with search teams. The search for MH370 initially focused on the South China Sea, but as evidence of the aircraft's deviation from its flight path emerged, the search area was shifted to the Indian Ocean. The multinational search effort, one of the most extensive in aviation history, involved satellite data analysis, oceanographic surveys, and the deployment of specialized underwater search equipment. In 2015 and 2016, several pieces of debris confirmed to be from MH370 were found washed ashore on beaches in the Western Indian Ocean, including a flaperon discovered on Reunion Island and parts of a wing found in Mozambique. These discoveries provided some clues about the plane's final moments, but they did not reveal its exact location or the circumstances of its disappearance. Numerous theories have been proposed to explain the disappearance of MH370, ranging from plausible to highly speculative. One of the leading theories suggests that the aircraft was deliberately taken off course and flown into the southern Indian Ocean, possibly as a result of a hijacking or a deliberate act by one of the pilots. Investigations into Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah's personal life revealed that he had practiced similar flight routes on his home flight simulator, leading to suspicions of pilot involvement. Another theory posits that a catastrophic event, such as a fire or sudden loss of cabin pressure, incapacitated the crew and passengers, leaving the aircraft to fly on autopilot until it ran out of fuel and crashed into the ocean. However, no definitive evidence has been found to support this scenario. In 2018, an official report by the Malaysian government acknowledged that the cause of the disappearance could not be determined with the information available. The report did highlight several lapses in communication and coordination among air traffic control and military personnel, but it did not provide a conclusive explanation for the tragedy. The disappearance of MH370 has had a profound impact on the aviation industry, prompting changes in flight tracking technology and procedures. New regulations now require commercial aircraft to report their position more frequently and mandate the installation of tamper-proof location transmitters. The families of the passengers and crew of MH370 continue to seek answers and closure. Various private search efforts have been launched, funded by donations and private entities, but the wreckage of the plane remains elusive. The search for MH370 is a testament to the vastness and mystery of our planet's oceans and the limits of modern technology in solving such enigmas. The story of MH370 is a haunting reminder of the potential for unexplained events in modern aviation. As technological advancements continue, there is hope that one day the full story of MH370 will be uncovered, providing closure to the families of those lost and lessons for the future of air travel. Sleepy Hollow Mystery. The Sleepy Hollow mystery centers around the famous legend of the Headless Horseman, a tale that has captivated audiences for centuries. Set in the village of Sleepy Hollow, New York, this story was immortalized by Washington Irving in his 1820 short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The legend intertwines with local history, folklore, and the supernatural, making it a compelling and eerie narrative that continues to fascinate. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is set in the late 18th century, during the time when America was still emerging from the Revolutionary War. The story follows Ichabod Crane, a lanky and superstitious schoolteacher from Connecticut who arrives in Sleepy Hollow to become the local schoolmaster. Ichabod is a peculiar character, known for his odd appearance and voracious appetite, as well as his interest in ghost stories and the supernatural. Ichabod becomes enamored with Katrina Van Tassel, the beautiful and wealthy daughter of a local farmer. However, Ichabod faces competition for Katrina's affection from Brom Van Brunt, known as Brom Bones, a burly and mischievous local hero. Brom and Ichabod's rivalry forms the backdrop of the central mystery. The eerie atmosphere of Sleepy Hollow is heightened by the presence of the Headless Horseman, a ghostly figure said to be the restless spirit of a Hessian soldier who lost his head to a cannonball during the Revolutionary War. According to the legend, the horseman rides through the village at night in search of his lost head, terrorizing anyone who crosses his path. One fateful autumn night, Ichabod attends a harvest party at the Van Tassel's estate, where he listens to ghost stories and becomes increasingly unnerved. As he rides home through the dark woods of Sleepy Hollow, Ichabod encounters the Headless Horseman. A terrifying chase ensues, with the horseman pursuing Ichabod through the forest. The next morning, Ichabod has disappeared, leaving only his trampled hat and a shattered pumpkin near the bridge where the horseman was last seen. The fate of Ichabod Crane remains a mystery. Some believe he was spirited away by the Headless Horseman, while others suggest he fled the village in fear, never to return. Brom Bones marries Katrina, and it is hinted that he may have orchestrated the horseman encounter to scare Ichabod away. The legend of Sleepy Hollow is steeped in local folklore. The village of Sleepy Hollow, originally known as North Tarrytown, embraced its spooky heritage and officially changed its name to Sleepy Hollow in 1996. The area around Sleepy Hollow, including the Old Dutch Church and its graveyard, provides a historical context that enriches the legend. Over the years, the story of the Headless Horseman has inspired numerous adaptations in literature, film, and television, each adding its own twist to the mystery. The tale's blend of history, myth, and the supernatural continues to capture the imagination of audiences worldwide. The Sleepy Hollow mystery endures as a classic American ghost story, reflecting the fears and superstitions of early American society. It serves as a reminder of the power of folklore and the enduring appeal of tales that blur the line, between reality and the supernatural. Whether viewed as a cautionary tale about the dangers of credulity or a thrilling ghost story, the legend of Sleepy Hollow remains a beloved and haunting mystery. Nancy Spungen. Nancy Spungen, often remembered for her tumultuous relationship with Sex Pistols bassist Sid Vicious, was a central figure in the punk rock scene of the late 1970s. Her tragic and controversial life came to an abrupt end at the age of 20, leaving behind a legacy intertwined with the raw and chaotic world of punk rock. Nancy Laura Spungen was born on February 27, 1958, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. From an early age, she exhibited signs of emotional instability and behavioral issues. Diagnosed with schizophrenia as a child, Nancy struggled throughout her youth, experiencing a series of violent outbursts and being expelled from multiple schools. Despite these challenges, she was highly intelligent and graduated high school early, enrolling briefly at the University of Colorado before being expelled for her erratic behavior. Nancy's rebellious nature and fascination with music drew her to the punk rock scene in New York City. She quickly became a well-known figure within the community, earning a reputation for her wild behavior and drug use. In 1977, she moved to London, where she met Sid Vicious, the bassist for the influential punk band, the Sex Pistols. Sid and Nancy's relationship was notoriously destructive. The couple became heavily involved in heroin addiction, which only fueled their volatile interactions. Their life together was marked by intense arguments, physical fights, and mutual dependence on drugs. Their relationship became symbolic of the excesses and dangers of the punk rock lifestyle. On October 12th, 1978, Nancy Spungen was found dead in the bathroom of the Chelsea Hotel in New York City, where she and Sid were living. She had suffered a fatal stab wound to the abdomen. Sid Vicious was immediately arrested and charged with her murder. He admitted to being present at the scene, but claimed he had no memory of what happened due to his drug-induced state. Sid was released on bail, but never stood trial. On February 2nd, 1979, he died of a heroin overdose, bringing an end to the short and tragic lives of both Nancy and Sid. Their deaths only deepened the mystery and speculation surrounding Nancy's murder. Some theorized that Sid was the killer, while others suggested that a drug dealer or another party might have been involved. Nancy Spungen's death has remained a subject of fascination and debate. Her relationship with Sid Vicious, their mutual descent into addiction, and the brutal end of her life have been depicted in various books, documentaries, and films. The most notable portrayal is the 1986 movie Sid and Nancy, which dramatizes their chaotic love affair and its tragic conclusion. Nancy's life and death highlighted the dark side of the punk rock scene, where rebellion often spiraled into self-destruction. Her story serves as a cautionary tale about the perils of addiction and the often destructive relationships that can emerge from such environments. Despite her troubled life, Nancy Spungen remains an iconic figure in punk rock history, emblematic of the era's raw and uncompromising spirit. Las Cruces bowling alley shooting. The Las Cruces bowling alley shooting is one of the most haunting unsolved mass shootings in American history. On February 10th, 1990, a quiet morning at the Las Cruces Bowl in Las Cruces, New Mexico, turned into a horrific scene of violence, leaving the community in shock and the case shrouded in mystery. At approximately 8:20 a.m., two armed men entered the bowling alley through an unlocked door. Inside, they encountered Stephanie Sanak, the bowling alley's manager, her 12-year-old daughter, Melissa Repass, and Melissa's friend, Amy Hauser, also 13. The two men forced the victims into an office at gunpoint, where they were joined by employee Ida Holgin and cook Steve Terran, who arrived with his two daughters, 6-year-old Paula and 2-year-old Valerie. The perpetrators then demanded money from the safe and, after taking around $5,000, forced the victims to lie face down on the floor. Without warning, the assailants opened fire on the group, shooting each victim multiple times. To ensure no witnesses were left, they also set fire to the office. Despite their efforts, Melissa Repass, despite being critically wounded, managed to call 911 and provide a description of the assailants. Her quick actions likely saved lives, but the attackers escaped before law enforcement arrived. In the aftermath, 4 victims, Steve Terran and his 2 daughters, along with Amy Hauser, died at the scene. Stephanie Sanak, who was critically injured, died 9 years later from complications related to her injuries. Melissa Repass and Ida Holguin survived their injuries, but were left with lifelong scars from the traumatic experience. The investigation into the Las Cruces bowling alley shooting faced numerous challenges. The attackers were described as Hispanic males, one older with dark hair and the other younger with lighter hair. Despite the detailed description and composite sketches, no significant leads emerged. The crime scene, ravaged by fire, yielded little forensic evidence, further complicating the investigation. Over the years, numerous theories and potential suspects have been considered. Some speculated that the attack might have been linked to organised crime or a botched robbery with personal motives. Despite these theories, the case remains unsolved. With no arrests made, the FBI and local authorities have continued to pursue leads and publicise the case, hoping for a breakthrough. The Las Cruces bowling alley shooting remains an open wound for the community, symbolising the pain of unsolved violent crimes and the enduring quest for justice. The survivors and families of the victims, along with dedicated investigators, still hold out hope that one day the killers will be identified and brought to justice, providing some closure to a tragedy that has haunted Las Cruces for decades. Subscribe and press the notification to get updates for upcoming parts of this iceberg.